Hello everybody, and my name is Lee Rodriguez, and I'm from PanelsOnPages.com, and this is our very first video review, and it's quite the doozy. We're reviewing the Fansproject Crossfire 02 set. It's Munitioner and Explorer. These guys are upgrades to the Target exclusive Bruticus Maximus set that came out last year, and it's a game changer, man. Let's see, the boxes are pretty big. There's all kinds of crazy stuff inside of it. You see, there's two figures. I mean, why didn't someone set? I don't know. But there's two figures. The boxes actually connect and make whole artwork on the back here, which is kind of cool. You know, they break down, whatever. It's kind of neat. And they show you what comes in each part, each box, and then even on the side of the package here, you see the whole thing kind of come together. It's very, very cool. Like I said, we have a lot of videos from PanelsOnPages.com. This is our first video review. Let us know how you like it. Maybe we'll do some more of these guys. But either way, let's dive in and we'll check out the two new figures from Fansproject. And here are Munitioner and Explorer, Blast Off and Swindle, in their alt modes. Now, first off, the Munitioner rolls really well. It looks really great, and just the shuttle for Explorer is as big as he needs to be. Like, it's a lot bigger than like lengthwise, at least, much bigger or longer than Explorer, or the Munitioner rather, but a lot of that ends up going back behind his robot mode. His head, as the nose cone, kind of becomes a little backpack. We'll see that in a minute, but very cool. And you'll notice right away when you bust these guys out that a lot of the corner cutting that you'll see from a Hasbro or a Takara release, they just don't do on these. Like, a lot of times in the official figures, you'll see some sculpted details that get passed over when the paint apps come out. But I mean, they're just glorious paint apps on these things. Like all the headlights in the front of the Humvee for Swindle here. I'm going to call him Swindle. All the headlights get details painted onto them. All the little nooks and crannies on the gun get painted on. Like there's they did not cut corners on these things at all. And even the pinstriping on the wings, like it's all clean. It's all just, all the details are clean. It's exactly what you want it to be. And there's lots of parts here. There's a lot of parts. All the parts work. Nothing comes apart. The hips on my Blast Off are a little bit loose, but it's nothing terrible. And I can't even say for certain if that's something that's going to be universally across them. But I mean, they're just really, really solid figures. And the alt modes too. And so if you look at them next to, like, say the Brawl from the original series, I mean, they're pretty much in scale. Like, they're what they need to be. So I mean, it's very, very cool. So let's turn these guys into little robots and see what they look like in their robot modes. Alright, so here are Munitioner and Explorer in their robot modes. It's incredibly impressive what they're able to do. They were able to get a whole lot of articulation to these little figures that I think are maybe smaller than Scout size. I mean, it's hard to say because the Energon line had a different kind of scale as far as scale goes, I guess, than the new ones. But if you stand them up next to one of the originals, like a Brawl here, I mean, they're absolutely comparable in size. They fit it well, so they're probably about between 4 and 5 inches tall. But they've got an amazing array of articulation. They're saying like 18 points each for these things, and I absolutely believe it. You can get some really great poses out of them. They have ball-hinged ankles and feet. I mean, it's really, really impressive. One thing, Swindle here, Munitioner, absolutely is rocking a pretty major backpack. And I mean, and to a degree, I guess Blast Off does as well. So that's not perfect. But, also, I mean, those can be considered throwbacks to their classic modes as well. I mean, because they both had some pretty raging backpack. Well, Blast Off, I guess. Maybe not so much Swindle. But, I mean, they're very, very cool. Like I said, Swindle, is exactly like he needs to be. If you got some repro label stickers, for some factions, you can probably add some to the chest areas or maybe down onto the legs, the way you can do something like that. But I mean, they're incredibly, incredibly cool, and I would definitely say worth the wait. Here's the new forms for the alt mode for the team. So, like, Swindle's still the same back here, he's fine, but then all the other extra goodies they come with do go onto both modes. Like, so we'll check out the robot mode in a minute, but the alt mode's also get an upgrade. Like, some of them are, like, all bronze got just the 2 guns to go up on top, which actually makes them look a little bit more like his G1 counterpart, which is kind of groovy. Of the set, Vortex is probably the weakest, just because, you have to find someplace for the legs to go, so they kind of end up stashed on top. But the missile pods on the side are a pretty cool touch. and then the remaining half of the guns go down on the bottom. Nothing too crazy, but, you know, it's there, it's cool. Obviously, the biggest change is Onslaught, who goes from his surface-to-air launching rocket car mode thing to a towable flatbed, much like his original counterpart did in the G1 days. And so, like you can see, the blast-off, you know, tows on the back, and that's fine and dandy, which is cool. We'll take him off. And then it's here, too, that you can really see, much like all the Fansproject upgrades, like the attention to detail, just how good the colors match, and the wheels look exactly the same as the original wheels. So, I mean, they put a lot of effort into making sure that this is a seamless integration between the upgrades and the original figures. It's really, really cool. It's incredibly impressive. Before we move on, we'll check out one more thing. Onslaught ends up with 2 modes. Again, much like his G1 counterpart, he can become the launching platform for the shuttle. So we'll do that and move right along. So here we be. Moving some little bits around, you end up with this launch platform feature. It's, again, very much like the original toy back in the day. It's very cool. I don't know if it's really considered a criticism or whatever, but it's worth mentioning that this is the only configuration of this entire set where you'll end up with extra pieces. Like, these things don't fit on here anywhere that I've found. They're not in the instructions, and it's just kind of strange that so much care clearly went into making sure that everything went in every mode that you'd end up with these guys kind of left to the side. Does it matter? Absolutely not. It's just kind of worth mentioning. Again, just extremely cool. It rolls around just fine. You know, it's a neat presentation, and again, just absolutely just a throwback to the original form, and it's just delightful is all it is. So, all right, and that's it. Let's go on and show the robots, and then we'll combine this mother. So here's the newly armed team of Combaticons. You can see all the stuff that comes with the upgrade kit that's not one of the actual new figures. All goes on to the existing figures from the Bruticus Maximus set. So check it out. We have some new upgrades for Vortex. He's got a gun and some missile pods, and Brawl gets a new gun as well. It's in also the 2 new figures can hold weapons on their own also. And then, much like in vehicle mode, Onslaught comes out with the most. The new head, like I said, we dodged this head. This head is going to the Allspark, or wherever the hell Robot Heaven is in Transformers 2. And so Onslaught gets the new head for Bruticus stashed in his back. He also holds a more machine gunny type version of the giant railgun we'll see in a bit. The backpack for Bruticus ends up on his arm as well, and then Bruticus' feet come up on the shoulders here, and then like you see here they open up for missile pods, but those are just sort of the front of the toes as well. So very cool, like I said. I mean, most like also in vehicle mode, Onslaught definitely gets the most of the upgrades. It's pretty cool. So yeah, let's put this guy together. Alright guys, one last thing before we get to the Bruticus mode. It's just that pretty much every weapon this thing comes with has a transformation built into it. So like this is the small rifle that can be held by any of the little figures, which is fine. And then here's one of the bigger rifles, and that's cool. But then you take this guy here and flip him down, and flip this one up. I'm going to stash this guy out of the way. And then that's where Bruticus' giant crazy robot shotgun come from. And there's 2 of them, so he has these 2 big shotguns, but that's pretty cool. And then these guns, they don't really look like guns. I mean, this is definitely a case of, well, hell, they gotta do something with them, let's make them into guns. I mean, these clearly pop out, and these are Bruticus' hands, which are all individually articulated, which we'll see in a little bit. And then this is half of the wrist gauntlet that, you know, goes and holds on to the hand, so that'll be his hand in a minute. But yeah, so that's that, and like, so again, nothing goes to waste, you know. And then even, like I said, Onslaught's rifle thing, you flip this out and it becomes the big giant Big Daddy railgun. So just cool, just little touches that they absolutely don't have to do, but they did anyway, and it's very cool. And I thought it was worth mentioning before we move on to the robot mode. But that's it. No more messing around. Robot mode time. And here it is. It's just, I mean, honestly, I pre-ordered this thing 6 months ago, and I had no idea it was going to be this crazy. Yeah, so as you can see, it's radically different, you know, from down to the feet. Both arms, despite only having 1 new figure, both arms are completely different. And what they were able to do is they, much like on the Superior upgrade they did last year, they use some of the existing robot's articulation in order to make some of the joints. So like you see, it's essentially it's Vortex's hips that become the elbow for the new arm. Very, very clever. It just shows a knowledge of engineering and genius, quite honestly, that is astonishing to look at. So you got the new head. The blasters are hinged, so they do come off around the shoulders. They go all the way down. You'll see the big giant robot shotguns nestled on the back. He can hold all of his weapons. Like I said, now I got him rocking the big railgun right now. I didn't realize until I got it that the sword that comes with the blast off nestles in on the arm as well. So again, no unneeded parts. Like nothing gets laid to the wayside. It's crazy. And then the new pieces for the shoulders give him an improved range of motion, so he can go up and down, he can go lateral, the whole nine. Like I said, the only thing that hinders this one is that, like I said, my blast-off's hips are a little loose, so that causes problems here. But not necessarily, because the joints at the knee on blast-off are ratcheted. So long as you just sort of, when you're making your poses, make sure to use the knee joint instead of the hip joint, everything locks into place and it's cool. Honestly, it's amazing. So, you know, when you get this, the first thing you want to do when you get it is take all this crap right here, take all that junk that came, just throw that crap away. You don't need that anymore. That's useless. Same with this guy. It's like, look, it's not this guy's fault. No, but you can't mess with it. So, whatever. That's garbage. So, again, I wrote a piece of this for this at PanelsOnPages.com. It went live the week this started hitting shelves. And I said it there and I'll say it here. I mean, if this is something that you think you might want in your collection at some point, get it now. Like, I can't stress that enough. Like, the last upgrade set they did was for Superion. The aerial combat team, whatever. It was Superion upgrade. Retailed pretty cheap. These guys are a little bit more pricey, but they're full-on figures. These go for about $45 a piece at BigBadToyStore.com, our sponsor. You can get the set for about $100 total, with shipping and all that. So they're a little expensive, and like I said, especially if you need to get the Bruticus set too, you're going to look at about between $150 and $160 on this guy. But if you're a diehard Transformers collector, you're going to want it, because it's just one of those things that, a year from now, 2 years especially, like, you're not going to be able to get this thing for, less than $300. The Superion upgrade they did, I think, retailed for about $50 when it came out. That was a year ago, ballpark, maybe a year and a half. And now, I think one of the cheapest places I've seen it for, you'll find on eBay for like $125. That's just for the upgrade set. That says nothing for the Target exclusive Superion set that it needs as well. So, between the exclusivity of the set that it was built on from the online nature of the upgrade, it's going to be outrageously expensive in the coming months and years. So, if you want it, do not sleep on it. Get it now, because you're not going to be able to get it soon, and so it'd be, you don't want to pay, twice, if not 3 times as much now for what you can get now for a pretty decent price from the folks at Big Bad Toy Store and the various other online outlets. But, I recommend Big Bad Toy Store, but, unbiased. So, yeah, go to PanelsOnPages.com, check out some more pictures we got of this guy, read all of our nice toy columns and reviews, check out the podcast live on Tuesday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central at chat.panelsonpages.com. And thanks for checking this out, our very first video review. My name is Leo Rodriguez from PanelsOnPages.com.